Hey everybody, welcome to Revitalize, Reconnect, Meet, where I get the opportunity to meet a business owner and key influencer from across the UK business community. And today I've got the great pleasure to be with a lady who's been running a business for just over 8.5 years. She has had previous experience with a list that just sent through to me as long as your arm, a wealth of experience in client manager event agency, a regional events executive and project manager business support agency, exhibitions, executive, scientific publishing, events, venue events, sales and marketing coordinator in a London venue, and a hospitality intern in the Sheraton hotels. She's been involved in the hotel and hospitality and events industry for over 18 years. And as I said earlier, has been running her own business for the last 8.5 years. Can you please welcome with us today, the one and only Ruby Sweeney from the Events Hub. How are you doing, Ruby? You doing well?
I'm really well, thank you, Lee, and what a great introduction. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. We spoke a fair few times over the last few weeks, and I've really got an understanding of what you do for a business and how you've been helping many people, especially in my industry, the events industry as well. Could you share with everybody who's listening and watching this morning a little bit about the Events Hub and an overview of your business?
Absolutely, Lee, thank you. So the Events Hub started life a little bit by default, actually, and I'd hoped that I would get some more experience under my belt before I went out on my own and ran my own business, but life just happens in some ways, and you end up doing things, and they're the best things that ever happened to you and for you. So the Events Hub started off as being a company that would support people that couldn't afford to have or didn't have the need for a full-time in-house events manager. So the idea was that I would have a portfolio of clients, I would take my expertise to them all and work in their businesses for however many days a week and give them that real in-house experience without having all the other things that come along with having someone employed in the business or in-house full-time. So it started off as a real kind of suck it and see, just go into it and see what happens. I wasn't business trained necessarily, I was hospitality trained. So there was so much that I had to learn about myself, about business, about others. And it was a bit of a baptism of fire, but it's been the most amazing journey. And we essentially are helping people to run events and conferences, company celebrations, launches, those sorts of things, and being their team. So even though we're not their team, we are their team, and that's kind of the essence of us being able to bring this whole portfolio of experience to our clients. And for me, it's about having a purpose, having a reason to exist, and to give so much added value to our clients in every single touch point that we have with them.
Absolutely superb. And I mean, you've been doing that, and I think it's prevalent now, especially what's going on around us and everything else. People need that support that's in place. With everything that you've done in your own business that you've had now, what's been your biggest achievement and successes? I mean, I know you mentioned one on the information you sent through to me prior to today's recording, but what was the highlight? What was the biggest achievement and success you've had over the last few years?
Over the last few years, I would say that my biggest achievements have been running events all across the world. So from a small base in England, Scotland, we've moved around a lot, so I'll come into that a bit later on. But I have this wonderful appreciation for the fact that we can sit and virtually organise and remotely organise events for our clients all around the world. So there isn't such a specific success that I would want to share. It's just the fact that we're based where we are. We're running events around the world. We're bringing our clients together. We're bringing companies and teams together. And I think my one big takeaway is that when we're planning events, an event starts off as sort of the germination stage is somebody's idea or a group of people's idea that then becomes, it sort of grows arms and legs, and you sort of breathe life into it, and it becomes this gathering, this conference, this meeting, this celebration, this launch, And it's just wonderful seeing that for our clients. And I wouldn't be able to place that on one particular one, but I would say across the board, across the globe, we are a small female-owned, female-led business, and we're doing this stuff across the world, and it's wonderful.
And congratulations on those achievements, because I think you're right in what you say. When you start with something as like a seed or an idea, and it comes to fruition, and then it starts to gather pace, and then the sprint starts getting a lot longer. Before you know it, time flies by. I mean, it's a great achievement that you've started from where you were to where you are now. So thank you very much for that.
Okay.
If you could cast your mind back to when you started your business, that first initial thought, like we talked before, that idea before creating that seed and cultivating it and growing it, what would you give out to people who are listening and watching today as a top tip for someone who's starting off on their first step of their business journey? What would you share with them, or even share with yourself, if you could cast your mind back?
Brilliant question. Absolutely brilliant question. And I cast my mind back, and the big thing that I think I ended up doing was I gave a lot of people my time for free or for very little. So my top tip would be value yourself personally first before you value your business or yourself as a business person. Value yourself and your experience and your expertise. And if I go back and think about all those times that I did just give people my time, because I thought, oh, I'm a one-person business, I've just started out, and I didn't value myself, and I gave a lot away and didn't get very much back. So what I would say to people is place a value on what you do and what you bring and what you help others achieve. So the key word there is value.
I think that's a really good tip. Many people go into business by they've got to get all their things into place.
Definitely.
They've got to get all their items, all their ducks in a row, but they forget about the individual, which is themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the value that they put on themselves for the service that they are providing and delivering. So a great wee share there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. With everything that's gone on at the moment over the last 10 weeks, we've been through many, many journeys. I think you would agree. We've had these conversations as well. How have you diversified your business over the last 10 weeks? How has it taken a new structure, a new development, a new sort of evolvement, or cultivating a new idea? Have you diversified your business in the last?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Lee, we have. So as you know, it's a business that provides conference, meeting and event management to our clients. And of course, the events industry was one of the first things to go, and one of the biggest industries to be hit, and it's still continuing to be hit by what has happened. So for me, the first few weeks of lockdown were just getting used to what was going on around us, and as much in the home with children at home, and that, as well as what was going on a global scale. So taking stock and just kind of trying to regroup and understand where we were, what my journey had been up until that point, and recognizing where I'd stretched myself, or where I'd got myself really, really busy and overcommitted, and all these things sort of start to hit you when everything just stops dead. And so for me, with the whole face-to-face mass gatherings, whatever you want to call it, that had to change, but not to the degree where I was having to learn something new or go into something very different, or learn about technology, or digital production of events and things like that. What I did was I decided, right, virtual and hybrid events are here to stay. And anyone who wants to question me about that can get in touch separately. But I honestly believe that the way that we can sort of satisfy people across the board is by running events in both a physical and in a digital manner, and in that way we can be most inclusive. So we then moved all of our events to the digital space. So we're now doing virtual and hybrid events for our clients. We have invested in some additional technology which bolts on to our existing technology. Luckily, it's just an extension of the current platform. So we're now taking that platform out to market. And the great thing is that our existing clients are now looking at us for direction. Where do we go? How do we learn about this? How do we utilize this? And also prospects are coming back. New clients are coming to us because traditionally where people had VAs, PAs, event managers, members of other teams who were experienced in running events, suddenly events stopped being events and are essentially becoming a digital or digitized product. It's all part of this digital transformation that everyone is talking about. Events and conferences are now online, and it's about that word we spoke about earlier, differentiation. It's the fact, yeah, it's a brilliant word, my buzzword for the week. But it's differentiating your events. What are you doing differently to other people? Because barriers of entry have either been removed or have gone completely for a lot of event organizers. So it's a case of, you know, there are so many others flooding the market. There are bigger players flooding the market of smaller players. So how then do our clients stand out? And there are some really key things like your event community, the people who have a vested interest in what you do or in your movement, or, you know, there's so much stuff going on around power and movements at the moment that I think it's a wonderful time to reflect on ourselves individually, but also ourselves as teams, as groups, as tribes, as communities, whatever you want to call it. So it's a case of kind of taking all of that on board. And for me, it was a case of a bit of a no-brainer, because I worked virtually already, and the virtual space is just where our clients need to be, and we're not changing who we are. We're still being who we were before, but we're offering this service that they need, and we're leading. We're bringing the technology to them. We're bringing all these ideas, all this experience that we've cultivated, that I've cultivated over my last 18 years in hospitality and events. And so I think the big key is not to change who you are or what you do. Essentially, it's just adapting and always being able to find the partners or the providers or the suppliers that will enhance what you do. And that's, I've been very, very lucky over the last couple of weeks to, you know, I'm looking at the jigsaw pieces behind you, but it's all kind of fit together really well. And now we have this business in the virtual and hybrid event space, which I believe is here to stay.
100%. I'm 100% behind you on that one, especially with the way that people have to develop and overcome the challenges. But one of the key things you talked about there was the communication, was the people that you're meeting, the conversations that you're having, and having those conversations on a regular, consistent, persistently flow throughout your journey and each week. I think a lot of people have embraced that. Question I want to ask you, just when you touched on that in the diversification side of it, have you had to look at your time management to reflect? Because you talk about reflection. Have you looked at your time management? Have you gained more time now to work on your business?
Wow, what a question, Lee. The last few weeks, again, time, the way I've sort of managed my time and looked at my time has evolved. It's changed so much. And I would say in the last couple of weeks, especially as clients and prospects starting to sort of cement their plans moving forward, because there's been more clarity around what is happening, lockdowns are easing, you know, and so I think people are at a point where they are able to plan for at least the next 6 months, if not beyond. So what's been interesting is I started off with all this time when I sort of went, you know, I'm just going to stop, just going to take stock. And then I was looking at my sort of work and my time and where I was putting my efforts, and thought, you know, I'm going to work smarter. I'm going to work 4 days a week. And then the last few weeks, Lee, it's just gone really crazy again, and I've got busy again, and I'm starting to feel, especially sort of, you know, in the last few days, whoa, slow down. What am I committing to? What am I saying yes to? Is that really urgent? So I need at some point to just take stock and prioritize and look at where my time is going, look at where my efforts are going. But that is a brilliant question, because in the last few weeks I have been roller coaster.
I think a lot of people don't, and that's the reason why I asked it, folks. I heard you had a lot going on over the last 10 weeks. I think there's many people who have gone down that road who haven't taken stock, haven't looked at the time that they're doing. And two words that I look at quite regularly, I've heard this from many coaches over the years that I've been running my business, is test and measure.
Yes.
You know? And you're also doing a meeting after meeting after meeting, person after person after person. And sometimes before you even know it, you haven't took time to reflect and look at what's been involved in that, and just getting the balance right. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With all that's going on and everything you shared with us, and especially the history, the background, and the experience that you've got, which is a wealth's worth of experience in the hospitality and events industry, what's next for Ruby Sweeney? What's the next step for the Events Hub, the business? What's the next door for you to go through?
Again, another great question, Lee. So what's next for me is definitely looking at the way I work and the time, and having more time for my family, but also very importantly, more time for me, because I got to a point where I was so busy doing things for clients and I was just ticking over. And you get to a place where, again, I think what you've just touched on, we're in a place where it's meeting after meeting, and because it's so easy to just beam into a Zoom meeting or a Teams or whatever platform, it's just right, I'll just rack these up, I'll give myself half an hour in between each one, and then I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4 throughout my day. And that thinking space, that time to really sit down and brainstorm and have ideas come to you, I think I've got to a place where I need to sort of just chillax a bit, I think. Just take stock, because I find I'm using weekends at the moment, especially the last couple of weeks, as things have got busier. I'm using weekends to just catch up a little, get back to those emails that I haven't gotten back, replied to, and things like that. So it's you go through all these emotions. You feel guilty. You feel, oh, can I put that off for a little bit longer? Can I? So it's definitely from a personal perspective, looking at my time, and I think it will get easier, because one of my daughters is back to nursery next week, so that will be a huge help, because we're all trying to do all this stuff with our children at home, with our other halves at home, and sometimes it can get quite hard, I think, to find that headspace. And that's something I want to build into my time, and I want to continue to develop myself personally. So that's definitely next, is kind of working on my personal development, which very much goes in with where I'm putting my time and my energy and my effort. In terms of what's next for the Events Hub, we are continuing to do what we do best, which is advising our clients, investing our time and our efforts, and financially if we need to, on new platforms and technologies. But one of the big things that I brought on during the last few weeks is a technical director to manage all the technical and production side of things. And that's a collaboration with another business owner who recognizes that our relationship as a working relationship is very much sort of mutual, in terms of we can give them event management, they give us production, and their phenomenal expertise in running online events and live streaming and all the rest of it. So that's absolutely brilliant. So we will continue to do what we've done best, which is bringing people together with a purpose, ensuring that we absolutely wow not just our clients, but their delegates, their sponsors, their speakers, their suppliers, in the way that we've done over the last 8.5 years. Because for me, business is such a personal thing, and it's about relationships, it's about connections, it's about energy and how we make people feel. It's about being authentic, warm, all these wonderful words. And that's what I want to continue to encourage my team and my partners and strategic partners, collaborations, whoever they are. And yeah, so we're moving forward. We're doing a little more work in sort of the trade association or association space as well now, because a lot of them are suddenly realizing they need to be up to speed with what's going on. But we're still working with our same target sectors that we were working with before, and just building connections, building networks.
Brilliant, absolutely superb, and I wish you all the best for the endeavours that you've got planned to go forward, really, and no doubt it'll be a raving success for you as well, with the collaborations that you have around you right now. Many people that we know, both of people that are around you and around my network to your network, everything else. If people have heard us today, they've seen us today, how can they get in touch with you? How can they make the connection? How can they get in touch to find out what you can offer and how you can support them? What would be the first step for them to make contact with you, Ruby?
Surely they can go to the website, and on the website, on our contact page, they can set up a 30-minute Zoom call with me if they want to have a chat about anything. My numbers are there. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so they will 100% find me on LinkedIn. We have a company page as well across LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. and we shouldn't be too hard to find. So so yeah, absolutely, we'd love to chat to anyone that wants to just sit down and have a mind dump and say, look, this is the problem, can you solve it?
Brilliant. Love it. And I'd highly recommend everybody who's listening and watching today to reach out to Ruby, start the connection, start the conversation, and find out what you can do with one another in regards to supporting each other with your business journey right now. Ruby, thank you so much for joining us today for ReConnect Meets. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lee. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. And please stay tuned, everybody, for the next ReConnect Meets, which is coming up over the next few weeks, where I'll get the chance to meet a key influencer, a business entrepreneur from across the UK business community. And please, if you do get the chance, subscribe to the channel to find out more about what is coming up next. Many thanks, everybody. Keep safe. And remember, keep healthy. Ta-ra for now.